On today's episode of Colonial Corner Crimes, we will be talking about the mysterious death of Jeanette De Palma. Let's get started.
On August 7th, 1972, in Union County, New Jersey, a dog returned to its owner with part of a human arm hanging from its mouth. The owner contacted the police, and the scent was traced to a body found on the Devil's Teeth, a remote hilltop location. They were able to ID the mostly decomposed body as Jeanette De Palma's, a girl who had been missing for 6 weeks. In Springfield, where De Palma was from, the story quickly blew up, as well as the rumors. People say the story was the talk of the town for 2 weeks, and then it was rarely ever mentioned again. Those close to Jeanette and the other townspeople of Springfield are still afraid to talk about her story to this day. The story of Jeanette De Palma resurfaced when Weird New Jersey received a letter about the case. The magazine asked for more letters with thoughts and possible information on the story to write about, and after receiving so much feedback, the article grew into a whole book of the Jeanette De Palma case. The authors, Mark Moran and Jesse Pollock, interviewed and investigated many people with possible connections, and thus have uncovered many new details about the case. While asking the police for more details, the two authors discovered the files for Jeanette's case had been lost.
What incompetence! How do you lose those kind of things?
They asked once and they said that they were lost, and then they asked again and they said that they were lost at a different time than the original time that they asked.
So they must have found it, and then lost it again?
Or maybe they just never lost it, leading some to believe there's a possible police cover-up involved. The case of Jeanette De Palma's murder is still legally open for investigation, so not all the information has been released, and the story is still heavily speculated by the people of New Jersey and on the internet. The most popular theory about Jeanette De Palma's case is that her death was the work of witches or Satanists. This theory originated from when it was revealed that a police officer at the scene of the investigation saw a halo of rocks around Jeanette's head, crosses made out of sticks surrounding Jeanette, as well as her body lying on a makeshift altar. Springfield, New Jersey has had a history of being the center of occult and ritualistic activity.
What's the difference between occult and cult, like OCCULT or A-C-U-L-T?
The difference between an occult and occult is that OCCULT has to do with like witchcraft and spiritualistic things, and it's like a group of people. Mm-hmm. A cult is a group of people like formed around a religion.
Okay.
So I mean technically both are spiritual.
Got it.
But occults have to do with witches primarily, and cults have to do with religion. So when the news of these findings spread, multiple occult-related theories erupted. One of the letters sent to Weird New Jersey back in the early 2000s claimed that there were rumors of a coven in surrounding towns, often referred to as the witches, that were planning to kidnap a child to sacrifice around Halloween. Another letter stated that a relative who worked as a police officer told them to stay away from the quarry because it was found that there were animals hung from trees around the crime scene and in various other places in the Watchung Reservation. Additionally, cult activity has been rumored to take place at the reservation itself. Many speculators think this theory is very likely because Jeanette was said to have been very religious, therefore possibly making her an appealing target to various occults. Again, much of the evidence around this theory is rumors. The only one that people believed is confirmed is when one police officer stated that he clearly saw the rocks and sticks around Jeanette's body.
As long as he's not lying and making stuff up.
Yeah, as long as he's not lying.
Yeah.
Because another police officer stated that he didn't see those things. But the reason that he may have not seen the sticks and the rocks was because he was solely there to investigate her body, and he was only there for about 5 minutes, while the other police officer was investigating the whole crime scene.
Yes. Okay.
So the lines are very blurred in this case about whether or not there were actually occult symbols going on around the crime scene or not. However, this theory is still the most discussed and the most popular of them all. A second possible theory deals with the disappearance of John List. The List family lived in an impressive mansion, but they were deeply in debt. John List, a Christian, thought it was better to kill his family and send them to heaven rather than have them suffer with the evil in the world and their potentially tarnished reputation if word got out about their debt. John followed through with this idea by killing his family and then sending himself into disappearance for 18 years.
The way he was discovered was very interesting. He was on the show.
Wait, he was an actor?
No, he was on America's Most Wanted for being the most wanted.
Okay.
Because of killing his family.
Got it.
A woman who was watching the show said that the characteristics described on America's Most Wanted seemed suspiciously similar to those of her neighbor.
Oof.
So she had him investigated, and her neighbor, who went by the name Robert Clark, was actually John List.
Oof.
So that's how he was discovered. And he was tried in court and he was convicted, but nothing related to Jeanette's murder, only for the fact that he killed his family.
It was believed John List's disappearance related to Jeanette's death for a couple of reasons. First, List's murder of his family had taken place less than a year before Jeanette's disappearance. Secondly, one of the family members List killed was his daughter, who was the same age as Jeanette. Additionally, it was discovered soon after Jeanette's body was found that List's daughter considered herself a witch and told her friends she participated in a coven.
So, if this theory is true, John maybe was on the run, killed Jeanette while he was out in the woods, and then tried to sacrifice her as maybe a way for being sorry that he killed his family or something.
Maybe.
Which isn't the best way to go about showing sorrow,
None of
especially after being the person to kill your own family.
Yep.
But maybe that's why there were the cult symbols around her. This last theory just kind of connects lots of possible people that were around at the time in the woods in the Watchung Reservation that were somewhat suspicious and could have killed Jeanette.
After Jeanette's disappearance, there was one murder case near Springfield. The murder of Joan Kramer happened only 8 days and just a town over in Union Township after Jeanette disappeared.
That's close.
That is close. For it to only be a town over and only 8 days later, they could have been on the run, they could have been moving.
Yep.
So they could have been killed by the same people. They never really mentioned if there were ever cult symbols around Joan Kramer's scene of her murder. But it's just assumed that since it happened so close and near where Jeanette was murdered, that people automatically connected their deaths.
Witnesses stated that a man named Otto Nielsen was seen strangling Joan before she disappeared for 3 weeks, only to be discovered dead.
Somebody has seen her being strangled. What did they do about it? Like, it's not like they caught him there.
No.
Like, what?
Maybe they didn't call the police on time, maybe he already ran, maybe they just didn't call the police at all for whatever reason.
Nielsen was tried in court and eventually released, therefore ridding him of being on part of the suspect list. Other people were of interest as well, such as a golf club caddy who worked only 50 yards away from where Jeanette was murdered, and a man who lived in the woods. But again, both were taken off the suspect list for Jeanette's murder.
The only people who've been of interest as of recently have been released from the suspect list. So right now, at least to the public, they don't really know who could be her killer.
Yeah.
And that is where the case of Jeanette De Palma's murder stands right now. It's still an open case that is yet to have been solved, so it continues to be heavily speculated by people on the internet. Was Jeanette's death the result of a cult sacrifice? Or was it the work of murderers, such as the work of John List or even Otto Nielsen?
For now, the case, although still open, remains unsolved.